Good afternoon and welcome to today's operational information update on the current wildfire situation in BC. On the briefing today giving updates, we will have Minister Mike Farnworth, Minister of Public Safety and Solicitor General, Minister Katrina Conroy, Minister of Forest, Lands, Natural Resource Operations and Rural Development, Rick Manwaring, Deputy Minister, Ministry of Forest, Lands, Natural Resource Operations and Rural Development, Peter Brock, Executive Director, Regional Operations, Emergency Management BC, Dr. Sarah Henderson, Scientific Director in Environmental Health Services with the BC Centre for Disease Control. And available for questions, we also have Staff Sergeant Janelle Choyette with the BC RCMP. A reminder to media on the line, you may now please press *1 to enter the queue. You will be limited to one question and one follow-up today. With that, I will turn it over to Minister Mike Farnworth to begin. Minister, please go ahead.
Thank you. I'm speaking with you today from the Provincial Wildlife Coordination Centre in Kamloops, on the traditional territory of the Shwepam peoples and the Tecumloops Indian Band. People in Kamloops and communities across the central interior have no doubt faced a very challenging summer, battling wildfires that threaten homes, neighborhoods, and communities, facing evacuation alerts and in some cases orders, and all the while living under hot and smoky conditions. As I've said before, we will get through this and we will see the other side of this fire season. But today, I've been honored to witness the passion and resolve of the crews and the staff of the BC Wildfire Service. This is more than a job for these men and women. The challenges and responsibilities that they are tasked with are immense. And working through yet another long season, I know how much they appreciate the ongoing support of British Columbians. Of course, there are many important partners in such a difficult wildfire season. First Nations and local governments, industry, ranchers, contract and out-of-province crews, the RCMP, search and rescue groups, the Canadian military, and the Emergency Management BC teams throughout the province. Together, we're coordinating resources and efforts to keep people and communities safe. This morning, Minister Katrina Conroy and I visited EMBC's Regional Operations Centre here in Kamloops. The room was buzzing with staff helping coordinate with First Nations and local governments. In speaking with staff, I was proud to see how many people from various ministries have signed up to support our efforts, working in advanced planning, logistics, public information, and operations roles. We also met with Emergency Management BC's regional leadership team, who are helping guiding our response and recovery. We've also had the opportunity to meet the City of Kamloops Emergency Support Services volunteers, who've been supporting evacuees from their base on MacArthur Island. They've been doing an absolutely amazing job. These public safety lifeline volunteers help provide supports to evacuees, people who have had to leave their homes, and are facing some of the most challenging days of their lives. ESS volunteers are kind, patient, and selfless. Each of them goes above and beyond in their contributions to their communities. And each of them deserves our praise and our collective thanks. We would not be able to navigate these large-scale emergencies without them. The skill and professionalism of all these teams, from the emergency management officials to the firefighters to evacuee supports, is unparalleled. And I feel privileged to witness what these folks are doing every day, working long hours to keep their fellow citizens safe and supported. I know the people we've met today and in my previous trips to the interior will continue to hold the line. While there is much at stake, we will meet this challenge. Of course, we are now yet in another heat wave, and we have weeks of hard work still ahead in this fire season. Again, I'd like to remind people of the cooling centers that are open in communities across the province, to take steps to stay cool and ensure the safety of yourself, your neighbors, and your loved ones. It's critically important that we all work together to take care and to stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. I'll now hand it over to Minister Katrina Conroy, Minister of Forest, Lands, Natural Resource Operations and Rural Development, to deliver remarks.
Thank you, Elena, and I too want to recognize that I'm on the traditional territories of the Tecumloops to Shwepam peoples. And I came to Kamloops today to meet with firefighters and staff at the Kamloops Fire Center and Provincial Wildfire Coordination Center to thank them for their incredible efforts this summer. I've been participating in daily operational briefings and getting the latest updates on the current wildfire situation. The workload There have been 1,472 wildfires since April 1st, burning more than 656,000 hectares. There are 3,725 firefighters and other personnel currently fighting the 264 fires burning as of last night. 207 aircraft are supporting those firefighters. It's another historic year for wildfires. People are understandably worried about their homes, neighbors, and communities. The number one priority of our firefighters and emergency workers will always be to keep British Columbians safe. Our firefighters respond as quickly as possible to protect lives and properties. I can't stress enough how important it is for people to follow evacuation notices. When a wildfire evacuation order is issued, people need to leave their homes immediately. On more than one occasion, crews have had to divert their attention from fighting fires to save individuals that had refused to abide by an evacuation order. I understand the desire to stay, and I empathize with people in this area who want to protect home and property. I also live on a ranch with cattle and other animals, and I appreciate that it might seem like staying behind and trying to protect what's yours and what you've worked for years to create is the right thing to do, but it's just too dangerous. You simply put your life and the lives of firefighters at risk. We can't ask them to put their lives on the line and face down an out of control fire because someone wouldn't leave their home. Human life is just so much more important. We all need to remember that due to extremely dry conditions, fires can escalate quickly and could overwhelm those who chose to stay behind. The BC Wildfire Service will continue to prioritize fire response to the most at-risk areas. More firefighting resources are coming from Quebec to assist our BC crews, joining firefighters from other Canadian provinces, as well as Australia and Mexico. Firefighters, emergency workers, and the BC government are going to continue to do everything possible to protect British Columbians. And as I said, our firefighters always respond as quickly as possible to protect lives and properties. In the case of the White Rock Lake fire, crews were on site in 30 minutes. A helicopter with 1,000-liter capacity also responded. The intensity of the fire and its growth led fire crews to instead focus on the evacuation of people. We currently have 163 firefighters deployed on the White Rock Lake fire. In addition, there are 15 tree fallers, 11 support staff, 14 helicopters, 63 pieces of heavy equipment, and an incident management team. 119 structure protection personnel are working on this fire, with 20 of them working overnight. Every property that is at risk has been at risk from the wildfire has been assessed and triaged. And due to the conditions and heightened fire activity throughout the province, crews are actively working to prioritize fire response in the most at-risk areas. I not only want to express my support for the remarkable work that everyone at the BC Wildfire Service is doing, but also let them know they have the full support of the government and all British Columbians. As wildfires continue to hit hard in BC, we want to again acknowledge the dedication and professionalism of everyone involved in the wildfire response right across the province. Thank you so much for everything that you're all doing.
Thank you, Minister. Next up, we will have Rick Manwaring, Deputy Minister with the Ministry of Forest, Lands, Natural Resource Operations and Rural Development. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. To complement the Minister's update, I am calling in today from the traditional territory of the Silk people, as I am at the White Rock Lake Incident Command Post here in Vernon. And I'd just like to start by thanking the Silk people for their hospitality, but also for the City of Vernon, who is hosting our Incident Command Post and all the firefighters here in Vernon, and will likely be hosting them for quite some time. We enjoy a very high degree of support when we're in a community like this, and I just want to reflect that and say thanks to everyone who's going to be supporting our team in this task in the weeks ahead. We're down here today because we were providing a media tour for the White Rock Lake Complex, providing an orientation on the strategies, on the approaches to this fire, the resources that we have on this fire on the different flanks, and giving media some access to wildland firefighters who are actually working on this fire, just to get some insight into what it's like to be working a very large fire like this in these conditions. As the minister said, we learned this morning more than 400 people in total, 500 people in total working on this incident, supported, as the minister said, by wildland firefighters, equipment, air tanker resources. And we're definitely seeing that in action here this afternoon as the heat of the afternoon picks up and the media have the benefit of an aerial tour on part of this fire. I'm also, while I'm here, paying attention to the Tremont fire west of Kamloops, where we had a large and successful planned ignition yesterday to turn the fire back on itself and provide some opportunity for crews to make some success on it on the ground and with some aerial resources. Like the Tremont fire, the White Rock Lake fire is burning in some very hot and dry conditions still. And while this is the forecast we're seeing here in the south, the short-term heat that we're experiencing, I know, is much broader than the southern interior of the province. Because of that, we're taking precautions province-wide, where we have crews on the ground fighting these fires to help make sure they stay healthy, make sure they stay hydrated, because they are working in grueling conditions. And for many of them, this is their third, fourth, maybe fifth deployment. And there's still several weeks of summer left. So real priority for us right now is the well-being of our teams, supporting them in as many ways as we can. And that includes coming out to incident command posts like this to meet them and support them directly. So with the heat comes lower relative humidity values and increased activity on these fires. And maybe I'll just finish by saying the forecast in the south part of the province is not showing any rain. It is showing increasing temperatures in the next couple of days and increasing wind. So we're going to be pretty busy with all fires of note in the province in the coming days. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Next up, we have Peter Brock, Executive Director of Regional Operations with Emergency Management BC. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you from the traditional territory of the Wasanich First Nations. I'm going to provide a provincial overview of the latest numbers of evacuation orders and alerts in BC and some other key messaging. So currently in British Columbia, due to the wildfire situation, we have 28 states of local emergencies. We have 10 band council resolutions, 55 evacuation orders, and that represents approximately 4,592 properties on order. We have 105 evacuation alerts, and that represents approximately 29,170 properties on alert. For emergency support services intended to support evacuees, there are 12 reception centers located throughout BC, and those locations are 100 Mile House, Chilliwack, Kelowna, Merritt, Oliver, Penticton, Prince George, Quesnel, Salmon Arm, Seabird Island First Nation, Williams Lake, and Vernon. Group lodging facilities within BC currently have 181 evacuees utilizing those facilities. There are 3 group lodging facilities located in the central region, and there's 1 group lodging facility located in the southwest region. Just want to leave you with 2 key messages for British Columbians. The first is you can keep up to date with the current evacuation orders and evacuation alerts by following the Emergency Info BC website. And we are urging residents to create a plan in advance so that you can stay with friends and family if you're evacuated. And again, just want to reiterate the rationale for that is so that we're trying to keep evacuees as close to their homes as possible and want to free up hotel spaces wherever we can so that we can keep people as near to their residence or to the safe area that they've evacuated from. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Next up, we have Dr. Sarah Henderson, Scientific Director in Environmental Health Sciences with the BC Centre for Disease Control. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am speaking to you from the BC Centre for Disease Control, which is on the traditional and ancestral territory of the Coast Salish people, the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. I don't want to take up too much time, but I want to acknowledge it has been very smoky in the interior of the province for many weeks now, And we are seeing some smoke being brought into the lower mainland region and over the island over the next few days. It may hang around for a couple of days. This is co-occurring with the third heat wave of the summer in the southern part of the province. Smoke and heat are both physiological stressors that can make all of us feel quite uncomfortable, and they can be quite risky for some people. The people most at risk from extreme hot weather are older adults and those with chronic conditions who are living in unair conditioned environments, particularly if they are living alone. Some folks may not really perceive how hot they are, so it's important to check in on people during the heat wave. The people who are most at risk from wildfire smoke are those who have obstructive respiratory conditions, such as asthma or chronic obstructive respiratory disease, COPD. When it is both hot and smoky, there are some people who are even more at risk. Please seek time in cooler spaces if you're at risk. Seek cleaner air. Use a portable air cleaner in your home if you can to reduce the smoke exposure indoors. Everybody needs to take extra care when we have these environmental stressors around us, particularly pregnant women, older adults, those with chronic conditions, infants, and children, but all of us are likely to feel uncomfortable under these conditions. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Henderson. That concludes the operational updates for today. A reminder to media on the line that you may press *1 to enter the queue, and you'll be limited to 1 question and 1 follow-up today. Our first question comes from Marcella Bernardo with News 1130. Marcella, please go ahead.
I'm going to start off by apologizing that my computer has crashed, so I'm just going to be asking this question on behalf of my colleagues who are hopefully recording this back at the station. Just wanting to see, with the White Rock Lake fire, are we getting to a point where we're seeing some kind of containment being built up, or is this weather that we're having now just possibly going to make everything go out of control again?
Well, I'll start and then I'll let Deputy Minister Mannering finish, but there is more control on the fire, but I have to say, with the concerns about weather this weekend, it is a concern for the fire. Deputy Minister Mannering can give more particulars on that.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I can report, as I had a really solid update from the incident commander this morning. The strategy in the past number of days has been to shore up as many of the flanks on this fire with guards as possible, anticipating a change in wind event. So right now the wind is coming out of the south in the province and pushing up towards kind of the north, I would say north-northeast, not strong winds. So that enables the crews to make real progress on the west and on the east sides of the fire, northwest side of the fire, and that's what's happening right now. But as your question suggests, when the weather changes, and we're anticipating that for Sunday, wind direction will change. We're not clear on exactly what's going to happen there. And so the effort at that point will be to protect the guards. And so it is possible, to be honest, that the fire will jump the guards in some places, depending on which way the direction goes, but that's what the teams are planning for right now.
Marcella, do you have a follow-up?
Actually, I did my computer.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is from Rob Monroe with Info News. Rob, please go ahead.
Hi, I just wonder if you can comment on the situation in Monty Lake. Do we have any tally yet on how much damage was done there, how many people out of their homes, and when they might be able to get back?
That's going to be a question for Deputy Minister Mannering.
Yeah, sorry, just trying to unmute. We don't have a clear understanding of all the affected properties beyond what happened on the original incident at this point in time. We do have crews in the area right now working the northwest part of the fire in the Paxton Valley. We have a guard around the northwest side of that, and there's a planned ignition to remove the remaining fuel and bring that part of the fire under control. Part of that exercise will continue to see properties in that area kept on orders, and so we'll be needing to limit any access into the area until we get full control of that part of the fire. So we leave the reporting of impacted structures and properties to local government at this time.
Rob, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, the other flank that seems to be acting up is down towards Parker Cove. I can't remember the name of the creek now. Just trying to get an update of what the situation is on that fire. I know they haven't gone back to evacuation orders yet, but how are things going there?
I'll take that, Minister. Yes. Parker Cove was one of the flanks I got an update on this morning. They're spending a fair bit of time putting guards in that area right now. I did not get any indication from the update I had this morning that there was any changing risk at this point in time. So they were able to continue to make progress in that area. Our team that's up there flying right now will have a bit of a sense of that for this afternoon. But the weather is held. We've got light to below moderate winds here at this point in time. So no report of any change in that condition in that part of the fire.
Our next question is from Colton Davies, Radio NL. Colton, please go ahead.
Hi, and thanks for doing this. Just for the Deputy Minister, you had said off the top there that there were more than 500 personnel dedicated to the White Rock Lake fire, and the incident commander had said there were close to 200 personnel on the fire right now. So I was just hoping you could explain that discrepancy. And also we haven't heard any, and that's the White Rock Lake fire, sorry if I didn't mention that, but also we haven't heard anything of a potential cause of that White Rock Lake fire. It's listed as under investigation last I checked, and there wasn't any lightning the afternoon it broke out in that area. So what can we say about a potential cause, or what can you say, and could we assume that it's likely human caused as well? Thank you.
Well, so back to front, we on any fires that we are uncertain about the actual start, in particular, if we know that we're not going to be able to determine how the fire started, we dispatch origin and cause investigators. So on most fires in the province, we have active investigations going on just to confirm how the fires were started. In many cases, it seems obvious that lightning would have started a fire, but we have some very highly trained people who spend time to confirm that for us. So I don't have a confirmation on that fire at this point in time. Many of the fires we're working on are being investigated at this point in time. To the beginning part of your question, so you will see, and if you log on to our BC Wildfire app for the White Rock Lake fire, you will see changing numbers around the numbers of firefighters and personnel on the fire. You will see changing numbers around the equipment that we're using on the fire. Part of the reason for the difference in the numbers that you're hearing is incident commanders will often talk about or be asked about the number of actual firefighters working on the fire. But in addition to the firefighters, we have teams members, we have structural protections people working on the fires. We often have ranching sector partners, Indigenous partners, forest industry partners working on the fire. So at this point, the number I would share with you is 500 personnel on the fire, 162 which are wildland firefighters, 138 which are structure protection personnel, and then I can continue to add the numbers up as we get into the aircraft that we're operating with and the water tenders and different support systems we have in place.
Colton, do you have a follow-up?
I do, and thank you for that answer. A general but maybe technical question I also had is, I look at the wildfires of note we have. They're all more than 3 weeks old, which is maybe good that there's no new ones popping up lately. But I think about previous fire seasons, 2017 and 18, we would be able to see percentages of containment on some of the major wildfires we had, like 10 or 20 or 50% contained. Just curious why there hasn't been the percentage of containment for any of the significant fires that we've had this year.
Yeah, no, good observation. Actually, I was asking the same question, and right now it's just coming down to the sheer number and volume of fires that we're having on that size. And as you would have observed, as the fire activity increases, and we guard up a part of the fire, for example, and if we were to say it's 25% contained on the western flank, and then the winds come up and it jumps the guard, as no doubt is happening today, we find ourselves going back and forth between numbers and percentages of how much we have guarded up on fires. So I think the communication team is taking the approach this year of through the narrative that you see on the site, describing how much guard is being built and where it's being built, and not landing on a percentage, because those numbers change so much, and they switched to the language of saying being held, which means we've got the guards around the fire. We believe we are able to hold the fire given the changing weather conditions, and we're progressing towards an under control status, and then ultimately the status being out. And so that's the way I would describe that today, is just the changing conditions just made it really challenging to precisely map the percentage of guard, and they switched to an actual online description of the work being done on the different parts of the fire.
We have time for one more question follow-up today, and that will come from Hina Anand with CP. Hina, please go ahead.
Hi, Deputy Minister. I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit more about the nighttime humidity, decrease in nighttime humidity, and how that is affecting the fire control, because we have an increase in temperatures, an increase in winds, and a dip in nighttime humidity. So do you know by how much there's been a dip in humidity, and how that has been affecting wildfires here?
A very good question. Thank you. Relative humidity is one of the biggest factors in wildfire behavior. And at this time of the year, we usually start to look towards what we call recovery. So as the sun goes down in the evening and nighttime comes, the relative humidity begins to climb on the land base, and wildfire activity drops. So, for example, on the White Rock Lake Fire, we've got a number of crews anticipating that happening every night, that recovery and that lower fire behavior are working night operations. And so we have a number of fires where our crews are working around the clock at night on the fire line to put in guards to take as much advantage of that lower fire behavior as possible. But this time of year, because of the temperatures we're having right now in the south central part of the province, we are not seeing the recovery of the humidity at night. We're seeing continued fire behavior overnight, and it really limits our ability to make progress in the evening periods outside of the burning cycle. So there are other parts of the province, like the southeast, for example, in the north, where it's getting cooler at night. The minister knows this, where she lives down in Castlegar. And we are able to make great progress when the humidity comes up in the afternoon and into the evening. So very good question. Thank you.
Hina, do you have a follow-up?
I do. Thank you for that, Deputy Minister. I was also wondering if you can tell me how long it's going to take this year to put out fires. How long does it usually take, and how long do you anticipate it taking this year? And thank you for this.
No, thank you. And that the answer to that is it will vary top to bottom in the province. If you look on our app, you will see a number of the fires in the Prince George fire zone, for example, or even in the Caribou fire zone, are starting to be put in under control status or starting to be called out. So that's why you see the numbers going up and down. So you will see that progress. You will see it on the coast, for example, the fires on the coasts. We will be able to likely achieve putting them out in some of them in the next couple of weeks, depending on the size of them. But to be honest, some of these larger fires in the south central interior, we're going to be fighting these right up until the snow falls. And so even though it'll get cooler, it's because it is so dry and winds continue to be challenging in these conditions with no precipitation. That tells us that we're in for at least 3 weeks to a month and probably right up into the late fall.
And that's all the time we have for today. And that concludes our information update. Our next scheduled update is set for Tuesday afternoon at 2 p.m. Thanks everyone for joining.